Hi everyone, we've got a video that's been in the cooker for a long time and held up mostly by my editing. Also, unfortunately, my father was hit by a falling tree branch last week, so I'm caring for him as well at the moment. But this is installing the 15-degree seat riser on a custom seat on my Yaw 3, as well as mounting base transducers for base haptics. So this is the installation of the hardware, and the software part of the equation will have to come in a later video. So let's jump in and see how I did it. So I've already disassembled the footrest, and this is the bottom part where the foot plate connects. And I've marked out and drilled and am tapping holes at the 4 places from the Dayton BST1s that I'm using. So just aligning that, and this is mounted under mounted at what would be facing the floor. So you can see tapping these holes, fast forwarding it to go as fast as I can, but still. So just clearing the holes so there's no burrs on them, and then these are done up with 3mm bolts, just screwed straight into the framing, and then I've put screws on the opposite side so that I can screw it in tightly and it won't come undone. So I've got nuts. So I've got two nuts on the other side, so that one of them's acting like a lock nut. Now putting the leg rest back together with the transducer mounted in place. And now the foot plate. So you can see the connectors for the wire are at the front, and I chose to do this partially because of where it is at the back. It would be reducing the downward motion. So now I have connected the cabling, put a cable tie just there, and then used Velcro straps along the leg rest. And the wire goes underneath the seat plate. And here I'm about to drill some holes, as you see, marking out, and then drilling holes so that I can so I can use cable ties to caber out this really nicely. So I put these 3 in and cable tied them, and then I realized that I need another one towards the back, which I'll drill shortly. And there's a space between where the wire is going underneath and where it's coming out at the top to the side of the weight plate mount, where you can route that wire through. So that worked really well. So this is that extra one to cable route, or to hold the cable cleanly at that back section. There we go, and I'll cut those excess bits off. So as I said, you can see where I'm pointing with my finger. This is where the wire goes through from the back and comes up under to where I will need it later. So I'll have to figure out where I want to mount the amplifier. At this point in time, my thinking was that I would mount it up near the back here where I'm pointing, because I thought there'd be nothing there. But I did do it somewhere else. You'll see that near the end. Okay, so now I'm taking off the seat and I'm starting to mount the base transducer onto the new 15-degree seat riser. Okay, this is the 15-degree seat riser. I've marked out my holes, drilling them again, and I'll tap them. So I put it as close towards this vertical plate that's in the bottom left side so that the BST was pretty much square under where your butt would be. Tapping these holes. You can see some larger holes that I've had there previously for mounting the seat. It was a lot more difficult than I expected, so I ended up to connect everything. So I ended up redoing those holes in different places. No matter how fast you make it, it still is longer than what it takes me to explain what I'm doing. So again, deburring the holes, putting in those 3mm bolts. And 2 nuts on each of those to be a lock nut. Okay, so now I'm marking out where I want to mount my rails that my side mounts will connect to. Okay, sorry about the framing on this. I am hoping to get an Insta360 camera so that I can get better angles. So I have these T-slot nuts that are for the extrusion to connect to, and I've now bolted the plate onto the seat and then bolted at the back, and T-slot nuts at the back as well. So yes, these slots I enlarged towards the front of the seat so that I could push the plate back as far as possible. And after a bit of feeling around, I figured out it's much too hard to get it to do up with those nuts. Also, I wouldn't be able to tighten them. So I had to take the plate off, mount those, then put everything back together. I've put my side rails on, just showing how that all goes together. And then I also bought this 2 USB panel mount extension cable from AliExpress. Links will be in the video description. And then modeled up in Tinkercad I guess a panel, a place for it to click into. So this is modeling it in Tinkercad. Sped up, but still taking longer than the words I have to say. So the key things I'm trying to do is make it look really nice from where you view that once you're on the seat, and just making sure everything's symmetrical and it will be a friction fit. So I'm measuring things with calipers and then resizing appropriately, and trying for a one-shot design where what I design here works the first time. So rounding these edges because the holes aren't square in the middle section of the leg plate. So that's using some Tinkercad tricks of putting holes in the place and then in my square solid cutting out corners and then merging it so that they're rounded. So here's the solid, and then put it in place and then start to cut out. So I used circles to do it in this instance, but you can use squares as well. So first I merge those large ones into the square, and then I make the small ones solid and merge it, and then turn it into I think I needed a solid in this case, so left as a solid. Now, getting the size of the cutout in that so that the clips on the panel mounted USB connection will hold on to the part, which is what that weird double rectangle hole is. And then this thin solid is the flush panel mount part, and then the higher center piece is the bit that locks into the hole. So just zhuzhing all of the sizes and everything. So even after I've been 3D printing since I think 2015, I can use Fusion 360, but often I just use Tinkercad because I'm so much faster in it, depending on what the model is and whether it needs to be constraints based or not. Okay, so now I'm slicing and printing that part. Be nice if it went this fast in real life, but it wasn't a large part, so it didn't take that long to print. Like elevator music or something. Do, 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 do. All right, I'll talk again once this print is finished. Okay, so now I'm just mounting that in place, turning it around to the right orientation, checking that everything plugs in, and then routing the cables neatly so it's clean and out of the way. So one of my goals is to have the cabling be like as neat as possible, and that's why I put that panel mount there, so that anything that's mounted on the central holder, all I do is just run the cable straight down and plug it in. I don't have to route it all the way to the back. So you can see here I have my USB port. Okay, so now here it is with everything in place. I ended up mounting the amplifier on my side mounts where I could reach and adjust the volume. All of the wiring at the banana plug side is all permanent. It's locked in place because of where the amplifier is mounted. And then the speaker wires route underneath and go under the seat or down and under to the front. The power supply for the amplifier is mounted there with a command strip. I have the USB hub behind the seat with wires routed cleanly where you can't really see them. On this side, I've rerouted the wires from the footrest panel mount, so that now goes up under. I drilled holes on the side here and cable tied it. And then those wires go underneath cleanly, velcroed and strapped, and then the 3D printed mount, which you saw me put in place earlier. There you go. And that's it.